and short-lived due to their engagement in bad habits. The program of the unintelligent men is as follows: work hard, sense gratification, work hard, etc. In the purport of the verse, Srila Prabhupada says that...
So you see, that's a description of material life. You work hard, then you have sense gratification. And then you work hard again, and you have sense gratification. And then you work hard again, and you have sense gratification. That is a description of modern life of most people.
Yeah. So, in the purport of the verse, Srila Prabhupada says that there are so many things manufactured by human energy, but they are all meant for sense enjoyment and not for getting out of material bondage. After working hard during the daytime, a tired man either sleeps or engages in sex habits at night. That is the program of materialistic civilized life for the less intelligent. Therefore, they are designated herein as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. The indicator of an unintelligent man lies in his actions. If people act as mentioned above, without having the endeavor to understand the supreme knowledge, they would be characterized as the lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived men described in this verse. Question number 2. Explain the life of a devotee who is not lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. The devotee, on the other hand, is well aware of the meaning of the gift that is this human body. They are clear that the human life is meant for the advancement in spiritual knowledge. Hence, the devotee does not even waste a single second. They are constantly in the service of the Lord. The program of the devotee is based on service and gratifying Krishna's senses. Additionally, the devotees dovetail their senses and their body to the service of Krishna. So, we see the beautiful form of the deities, we fix our mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, use our head to offer obeisances to Krishna, we smell the flowers offered to Krishna, we touch the lotus feet of the Lord, we hear the Krishna Kirtans, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, we dance for the Krishna Kirtans, we use our arms to make garlands, clean the dishes in the kitchen, clean the temple floors, we eat the Krishna Prasadam, and we talk about Krishna's pastimes and glorify Krishna and his pure devotees. The indication of a true devotee lies in his actions and his embodiment of the qualities of a devotee, as described in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, 8th through 12th verse. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion unto me, or Krishna, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. By embodying these qualities, the devotees are free from the characterization of lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived men. Question 3. Explain how you can suspend or put off death and then become liberated. We cannot avoid death in this material world. However, we can suspend it or avoid it for a short period of time. The process for suspending death is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 16th chapter, 7th verse, actually. O Sutta Goswami, there are those amongst men who desire freedom from the death and get eternal life. They escape the slaughtering process by calling the controller of death, Yamaraj. Yamaraj is a great devotee of the Lord, and he is the god of death. When we welcomingly invite Yamaraj to perform kirtan, Yamaraj becomes pleased with the devotee and suspends their death. However, to avoid death completely, it is explained in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 16th chapter, 8th verse, every human being dislikes meeting death, but he does not know how to get rid of death. The surest remedy for avoiding death is to accustom oneself to hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord as they are systematically narrated in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. To completely avoid death, the reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam is necessary. When one reads the Srimad Bhagavatam sincerely, then one will transcend the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, and will no longer be subject to death.
Okay, very good. Samarth, did you do homework?
A phone.
Oh, here's Samarth. I have your homework. Oh, no, I don't. I don't have your homework. Okay. Very good. That was very good, Tristan.
Go to try.
I think I had one question about what you read, though. Let me see. Yeah, the last sentence, to completely avoid death, the reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam is necessary. When one reads the Srimad Bhagavatam sincerely, then one will transcend the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, and will no longer be subject to death. But actually, right before that, you wrote, well, you quoted Prabhupada in 116.8, where he says, "Every human being dislikes meeting death, but he does not know how to get rid of death. The surest remedy for avoiding death is to accustom oneself to hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord as they are systematically narrated in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam." So basically, after quoting that, then you say, to completely avoid death, the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam is necessary. It's not the reading, it's the hearing. Right? Because that's what Prabhupada explained in the previous quote that you quoted. Okay. That's only one little correction. Everything else is perfect. Go ahead, Samarth.
Assignment. Explain why a person is characterized as a lazy, unfortunate, and a short-lived person, and how to get out of it. Explain how you can suspend or put off death and then become liberated. When you are lazy, you are unwilling to work and or use energy. This means that spiritually you cannot make progress because you are too lazy to do anything for Krishna. When you are unfortunate, you are bad fortune. This means that spiritually, after you are lazy, you are now unfortunate because you cannot be in Krishna's service.
After you're what? This means that after you are?
This means that spiritually, after you are lazy, you are now unfortunate because you cannot be in Krishna's service.
Okay.
When you are short-lived, you don't last long. This means that from being lazy and unfortunate, you'll get karma and die for not being attained in Krishna's service. 2.
Well, then you don't just die, then you have to be reborn again.
Yeah, and you have
Go
to
over it.
To get up.
So you see, it's just like a progression. Lazy and misfortunate, or unfortunate and short-lived. You see, so one thing follows from the other. Now, materialistic people, some are not lazy at all. They work really hard. How do you explain it?
Well, they're not doing anything for Krishna.
Exactly right. They're lazy about being Krishna conscious, but they might be working very hard, but they're lazy about being Krishna conscious. Good. Go ahead.
2. To get out of the bad characteristics, you will have to do the opposite of them. First, you will have to establish Krishna in your life. Come to temple and eat prasad and don't be a lazy bum.
All right. Good.
Then
Be a
read
lazy bum about spiritual life.
Then read
But
book.
wait a minute, you missed one. You have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Right?
Oh wait, I'll say that. Come to temple. Then read books by Srila Prabhupada and and his disciples and listen to Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam classes regularly. Then after that, do service for the love of Krishna. Finally, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. 3. To suspend death, you have to know what the secret is. The secret is to invite Yamaraj to a kirtan or sacrifice. This is because he likes people who are devoted to the Lord. You can also become liberated, though, by doing the activities as in point 2 and hear the nectarian pastimes of the Lord.
Very good.
And then I also did a diagram of lift, thrust, and drag.
That what?
Lift, thrust, and drag.
Oh, thrust, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So lift, you go up, and then drag pulls you back, and thrust, you go forward.
Mm-hmm. And weight?
And weight, you go down.
Okay. So that is a short explanation of aerodynamics, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That was last week's homework. Okay. All right. The only one point I want to point out to you, that was yes. A person can avoid being unfortunate when they know what the goal of life is. All right. So, what is the goal of life for materialistic people? What? Speaking in microphone.
As much sense gratification as they can do.
Yes. And to do that, they try and get a lot of money.
Yeah.
So they have to work really hard and spend it only for sense gratification. Not one penny for Krishna. All the pennies for sense gratification, right? But that makes a person unfortunate because they waste their whole life and they have to repeat birth and death again. However, because their idea of what the goal of life is completely wrong. But on the other hand, a person becomes fortunate. That means they encounter all good things in their life. Why? Because they know that the goal of life is to find bona fide guru and receive instructions on how to go back to Krishna, or how, and the best instruction is regularly hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, discussing it, repeating it to others, and just spreading the message of Krishna consciousness. Okay? So that's the way you become fortunate. Okay. All right, and did you do your homework? Yeah, go ahead. If you don't do your homework, you don't learn anything.
The first part was explain why a human being would be characterized as...
Madhav, I can't see you. You're sitting behind the... I can't see what you're doing if you're sitting behind the drum. Yeah, okay.
The first part was explain why a human being would be characterized as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived.
Right.
A human would be characterized as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived because they don't utilize their service in Krishna consciousness, their life in Krishna consciousness. People are very lazy in this world, not just materially, like waking up at 11 or 12, but also in self-realization. They are not enthusiastic and they don't want to know what this world and life is all about. They just neglect it and go on with their lives. People are very unfortunate because they are being misguided by teachers and material scientists who know nothing about this creation. People are short-lived because of overeating, over-sense gratification, and being over-dependent on someone else's mercy, and they follow artificial human standards. Oh, I got all of this from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.10. And then explain why a devotee is not lazy, unfortunate, it's not lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. A devotee is not lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived because devotees use their life in serving Krishna. Devotees are not lazy because they seek the meaning of life and why the creation works as it does. They don't neglect
That's a
death or
point.
God.
That's a good point. They seek the meaning of life, or the purpose of life in this material world. That means that there are people who, their whole life, they don't try and understand what is the real purpose of being born in this world in a temporary material body, always being subjected to miseries of the body, miseries caused by other bodies, miseries caused by natural cataclysmic events. They never ask the question, why are these things happening? You know, and they don't try and seek out the answers. Right? Now, let's say you have a question, and you say, why are there these hurricanes and earthquakes and wars and diseases and also flooding? Like right now, there's massive flooding in the Midwest of the United States. Many farmers are getting wiped out. So, they say, why is this happening? Now, when it happens to dogs, cats, deers, elephants, do they ask why? No. So is there any difference between people who don't ask why when these things happen and the animals who don't ask why? Is there any difference? No. So they're living an animal life. Animal just suffers all these things. It doesn't ask why is it happening or try and find out how to avoid it. Right? So let's say in your school there was a big fire and 10 kids died. So after the fire, would anyone ask, why did this happen? Well, the fire marshal would say, well, because there was a gas leak because of a poor manufacturing of the pipes, and it caused the fire. And people say, oh, okay, now I understand. Is that the real reason why there was a fire? What was the real reason?
Krishna's will.
Well, obviously, there was some type of sinful activity going on in school, like teaching Darwinism. That's sinful. You mislead people by teaching Darwinism. You don't think there's God, you just think there's evolution of species according to Dumbo Darwin. You ever hear Dumbo Darwin? Yeah. So, that's like a sinful activity. You're misleading young kids, making them believe something that's not true. So then that makes everything susceptible to misery and suffering. Because what is the goal of human birth? What is the human body specifically made for?
Serving.
Huh? Yeah, understanding what your relationship is with Krishna. Understanding who Krishna is, then you can understand who you really are, and then you can act to, serve Krishna and escape the ignorance of material life. Okay, go ahead, Krishna, finish. So if you don't know what the goal of life is, that's what I'm saying. If you don't know what the goal of life is, then you waste your whole life thinking you know something.
Devotees are not unfortunate because they always take the right guidance under a proper guru and use scriptures to guide them. They will always use the triangle of verification to make decisions. Devotees are not
Want to
short-lived.
explain what the triangle of verification is? But speak into the microphone.
It's guru,
Yeah.
and then it's shastras. First it's a guru,
No, it's not.
and then
Guru is not first.
scriptures is
Who's
first.
the original guru?
No, Krishna's the original guru.
Okay, so first is?
Krishna's scriptures, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, what Krishna has said. Okay.
Yeah.
And then?
Next
Second?
is Guru.
No. What's next? Who repeats perfectly what Krishna says?
Oh. That's Prabhupada.
No.
He does.
Who repeats perfectly what Krishna says? What is that called? That the whole list of people that repeat perfectly what Krishna says.
Oh, I remember we talked about like it's scaling down from everyone and then what's it?
Don't look at Madhava, he doesn't know.
Yeah. Disciplic succession.
Yes, correct. What's that mean, disciplic succession?
It's where like Krishna tells something, then from Brahma and then all the other demigods and
Not demigods.
not demigod, but like important
Pure
gurus,
devotees
Pure devotees, yeah.
have repeated the same thing. And then, number 3, I mean, why are we talking about 3? What's so important about 3?
I just remember we used triangle of verification, but I can't
So how many
remember
points
the
does a
order.
triangle have?
3.
Okay. So what's point 3? You said it about 5 times already.
Oh, Guru then.
Yeah, okay. So can you say what the 3 points are now of the triangle of verification?
First is what Krishna said. Second is what pure devotees that repeated exactly what Krishna said in the
And what's their
disciplic.
name, usually?
Disciplics. No, their name.
Yeah. It begins with an A. Second letter is C.
Acharyas.
Yes. Yeah. And then?
And then the third one is Guru.
Right.
Finally.
Okay, so is there an example where you can't close the triangle? Where the 3 points don't get connected?
Where one of them doesn't agree. Like, if the pure devotees that repeated Krishna, if they don't agree with something, or the Guru doesn't agree, or what you read in Krishna's scriptures doesn't agree, then you can't close it.
Well, okay. So in other words, it's usually the present guru. If the guru says something different than the previous acharyas and Krishna, then you can't close the triangle, right? So what does that mean if you can't close the triangle? What? It's false, exactly. Okay, we'll finish after the opening of deities. Jai Shri Shri Gauri Maharaj.
Today is like the only day I can come. Well, I mean the only 2 days. This is my second day. Well, I came from Monday to Friday and go on Saturday. You want me to carry you? Wait, what? Okay. Why can't we do Monday?
That's TikTok. Oh,
यशोमती नंदन व्रजवर नागर गोकुल रंजन काना गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहर गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहर कालिय दमन विदान अमल हरिनाममिय विलासा अमल हरिनाममिय विलासा विपिन पुरंदर नवीन नगर बोर बंसी बदन सुवास व्रजजन पालन सुरकुल नासन व्रजजन पालन सुरकुल नासन नंद गोदन रघुवाला गोविंद माधव नवनीत तस्कर गोविंद माधव नवनीत तस्कर सुंदर नंद गोपाल जमुना तट चर गोपी बसन हर रासरसिक कृपमोया श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटवर श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटवर भक्ति विनोद श्राय यशोमती नंदन ब्रजवर नागर गोकुल रंजन काना जयो राधा नीला माधव राधा नीला माधव श्री राधे जयो राधा नीला माधव श्री राधे जयो लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जयो लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जयो लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जयो लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जयो सीताराम जयो सीताराम जयो सीताराम जयो लक्ष्मण हनुमान जयो जगन्नाथ जयो जगन्नाथ जयो बालदेवा जयो सुभद्रा जयो गौरनीता जयो गौरनीता जयो गौरनीता जयो गौरनीता जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल
Did you do your homework? Yeah? Okay, let's hear it. You're not done? Okay, finish it, yours. And as I said, if you don't do your homework, you don't learn anything.
Yeah, Madhav. And then devotees are not short-lived because they use their time in Krishna's service and are anxious to be free from the clutches of death. Devotees are not lazy and they don't just accept death as a normal thing, and then they just don't buy $2,000 coffins for their bones and dust to reside in. Devotees will use all their senses in Krishna's service. They use their
Put the microphone closer to your mouth.
They use their eyes to read scriptures and see Krishna, ears for hearing lectures, and they use their nose to smell prasadam. They use their sense of taste to taste prasadam.
Flowers offered to Krishna. Go ahead.
Okay. Taste prasadam and touch to engage themselves in doing devotional service. Devotees will also use every part of their body in Krishna's service. Any normal thing that people do, devotees can use it for serving Krishna.
Any normal thing that people do, what if they smoke cigarettes?
Well, then devotees cannot smoke cigarettes for Krishna.
So it's not any normal thing you can do for Krishna, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but like a normal thing is dancing, so you can dance for Krishna, right?
Yeah.
Normal thing is eating, so you can eat only prasadam to honor Krishna. And then
So what would I say there?
singing, well, you can sing for Krishna, right? But smoking cigarettes? No. It's a normal thing for some people, but it's not accepted by Krishna. You can do any normal thing that's acceptable by Krishna.
Suspend the coming of death. Devotees can suspend the coming of death for a short period of time by inviting Yamaraj to hear and chant the holy name of the Lord. Yamaraj is a great devotee of Krishna and he loves going to kirtans and sacrifices of the pure devotees.
That's something we learned, right?
Yeah.
Did you think that Yamaraj liked to come to kirtan? So you made a mistake. He loves kirtan. He's a devotee. Go ahead.
Yeah. Weight is the force of gravity pulling the plane down. Just
Okay, now you're
repeating
talking
them.
about aerodynamics, right?
Yeah.
So hold the microphone closer to your mouth, okay?
Like this close.
Don't put it in your mouth. I didn't say put it in your mouth. I said closer.
Okay, so I'm just doing a recap of aerodynamic laws. Weight is the force of gravity pulling the plane down. Lift is what you would need to counter a plane's weight. High pressure under the plane's wings and low pressure above what generates a force to go up. Thrust is the forward momentum of the plane needed to travel. The thrust on planes is generated by an engine and a propeller. The propeller is also a wing and its rotations also generate lift. Drag is the part or surface of the plane providing resistance and slowing the plane down. And here I just made a short diagram. I know it's really hard to see.
Okay, very good. It looks like a Boeing 737. Good thing you didn't do a Boeing Max. They're not so well aerodynamically planned. Okay, good. Thank you for doing your homework. Why did you include the 4 principles of aerodynamics? Yeah, you were supposed to. You forgot to do it before. It's from the previous homework. What was the subject where we discussed aerodynamics? No, that's not the subject. Yes, Shrestha. How planets are floating in space. Remember that, Krishna? Yeah. So that was one of the reasons that Prabhupada gave. Prabhupada clearly said that the law of gravity is being explained by Newton and later on by Einstein is not correct. And then he gave 2 reasons why planets are floating in space. One was how an airplane floats. What was the other one? Yeah, but there were 2 main points why instead of the law of gravity, there's something else So you wrote about one. That's these principles of aerodynamics by which airplanes seemingly violate the law of so-called law of gravity. And what was the other one? No. Those were part of the 7 points, but no. The other one that he gave to show that it's not the law of gravity, it's something else. What is it, Krishna?
Is Krishna changing the air? He's ordering material nature to change the air.
Okay, but what was the second example of that manipulation of the air? No. Yes. Well, that's aerodynamics. What was the other one example? Floating clouds, right? Huh? How do the clouds float? First of all, how heavy is a cloud? It's not that heavy? You stink. Is that what you said? You stink or you think? No, that's stink. You got it wrong. Go ahead. How is it? How heavy can a cloud be? Yes, Krishna.
Thousands of pounds of water, but it's still floating.
It can be thousands of tons.
Thousands of tons.
So such a heavy thing is floating. How is it floating? Yes, Krishna. What becomes dispersed? Where's the heat come from? Yes.
So when the water at the surface gets really hot, it evaporates, becomes lighter.
What does it mean when it evaporates? What happens? Yeah, a mist. Huh? Like what? Well, okay, but it's okay. Yeah. It's all due to changes of temperature. Yeah. So then the dispersed molecules of water come a little closer together. They form droplets, and then it rains. Right. It's all by manipulation of the air. Now, scientists say there's no air in space. Is that true? No. It's not true. Huh? Now another question. I mean, this is side homework. This is not the main homework for today. I'm going to get to that. But another question you can look at and try and answer is, the scientists say there's no air in space, and one proof they give of it is that once a rocket enters into space, outside of the atmosphere of the Earth, it just keeps going, because there's no resistance of air. Now, see if that's true or not.
So a rocket keeps going because there's no resistance.
Of air.
But is it true that things will keep going in space?
Well, they say it is. As soon as it gets out of the atmosphere of the Earth, getting out of the atmosphere of the Earth is very complicated, very difficult, right? But once the rocket gets out of the atmosphere of the Earth, it just keeps going in space. And that they say that's the proof that there's no air in space, or that's one indication. So let's see if that's true or not. You research it.
Wouldn't it turn like...
Don't speculate, right? When you say I think, if you're speculating, it's I stink. It's not I think, right? So this is your homework. Now you look it up and see if it's true that there's no air in space. Okay. Okay, Augusta, you're on next. You're in the hot seat.
Okay, so the homework was explain why a human being would be considered as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived, and how does a devotee avoid being lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. And you have to, how can you suspend death, and how can you become liberated from death? So according to the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.16.9, a human being would be described as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived because they do not know the real value of the human form of life. Like, they waste their life doing all kinds of materialistic things, and they're unable to evaluate the gift of the human body to achieve liberation. They're unfortunate because they waste their time in economic development and useless things like that. A devotee of...
Is it useless?
Oh, not useless, but
If
like...
your dad didn't make any money and you had to live in a cardboard box under the I-5, would you consider he was useless because he didn't make any money?
No.
What? Huh? What's useless is making money and using it for sense gratification.
Yeah.
If you make money and you maintain your family and you also donate to the temple and follow a Krishna conscious way of life, that's not useless. Go ahead. You got to be careful not to say things that are not true. If your dad didn't make any money at all, and you had to live in a cardboard box under the I-5 and eat out of garbage cans, you would think that your dad is useless. But he's not. He's a very responsible person. And he's also a devotee. So that's the whole point. It's useless when you just develop economic development and just use it for sense gratification. That's useless. Go ahead.
They are short-lived because they waste their whole life in sense gratification. A devotee avoids these things because he is actively using his body for serving Krishna, and he knows that Krishna is the ultimate goal of life. He uses all his senses in the service of Krishna. You can suspend death by inviting Yamaraj for kirtan and yagna, and because he really likes kirtan and yagna.
How do you invite him? Do you know his email?
No, you have to put like a plate for all the demigods, and then they come.
Well, for Yamaraj.
Yeah.
He likes prasadam also. Go ahead.
And you can become liberated from death by serving Krishna.
Okay. All right. So, Arush, you're on the hot seat now. Priya, did you do your homework?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first question was explain why human beings are characterized as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. Answer. Less intelligent people are lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived because they don't know the goal of human life, which is to serve Krishna. They think the goal of human life is to do sense gratification.
How did they come up with that conclusion? The wrong conclusion. Where did they learn that?
Wrong.
Huh?
School?
Don't tell him. What?
School?
Yeah.
Or other people?
Well, do they teach you that in school? That the goal is...
Some kids do that. They think the goal is sense making money and enjoying with it.
The kids?
Yeah.
How about the teachers?
I never really asked them.
Did they ever talk about, you should do your studies and you go to college and then you get a good job?
Yeah.
They tell you that, right?
Yeah.
Do they tell you what you should do with your money that you make?
No.
No? You sure?
Yeah. My teachers never said that.
Okay.
So far.
So how did those other kids that you know in your school come up to the conclusion that making money and using it for sense gratification, buying computer games, buying this, buying that?
Maybe their parents, they got inspired by their parents.
That's partially true, yeah. If That's what their parents are doing. That's the law. Monkey see, monkey do. What does that mean? Monkey see, monkey do. Krishna. If the monkey sees someone doing nonsense, he'll do it. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So the second question was explain how a life of a devotee is not lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. The devotee is intelligent and understands the goal of human life. The devotees don't use their senses for sense gratification, instead they use it to serve Krishna. By serving Krishna, the devotee will be completely free of death.
If you use your senses to play Fortnite, is that being a devotee?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. So, Madhava, are you playing Fortnite?
I don't play Fortnite.
Oh. Do you play some other nonsense video game? Yes. Well, is that being Krishna conscious? No. Okay. Go ahead.
The third question was explain.
I forgot to ask you the most important question. Are you going to stop playing those nonsense video games?
I'll try.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
The third question was explain how one can suspend death and how one can be liberated.
Suspend what?
Deaths.
Yes.
One can suspend death by inviting Yamaraj for kirtan, by setting up a prasadam plate for him. And Yamaraj is one of Krishna's greatest devotees. One can be liberated by serving Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you. Ria, you're on the hot seat. Okay, Krishna, pay attention. Not by looking at Madhava.
A human being would be characterized as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived if they cannot evaluate the gift of the human body to achieve liberation.
Excellent.
In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.16.
What does that mean? How do you evaluate the human body?
So, like, you don't waste your time in sense gratification, and you try to achieve liberation
How?
by, that's like in my last question.
What?
That's like in my last answer.
Okay, go ahead. Very good.
During the daytime, one works for nothing because the aim is nothing but sense enjoyment. They do not know that the purpose of life is not sense enjoyment, so they work hard for their senses. A devotee knows that sense enjoyment is not the goal of life, so he uses his senses, mind, and intelligence to achieve the goal of life.
Which is?
To serve Krishna.
Yeah. Good.
Devotees use their senses in Krishna's service. They use their eyes to look at Krishna, nose to smell the offered flowers, mouth to chant and eat prasadam, ears to hear Krishna katha, and so on. In such a way, they use their gift of human body to achieve liberation.
Right.
In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.16.8, it states, hearing the pastimes of the Lord is the surest remedy to avoid death. The controller of death, Yamaraj, is a great devotee of the Lord, and he likes to be invited to kirtanas by great devotees. We can suspend death by calling him to hear and chant the holy name of the Lord.
Haribol. Very good. Okay. Anybody else do homework? Okay. Oh, yes, I forgot, Prabhu. Yeah, Adidev Prabhu also did homework.
It's a writing, but little bit. So, question number 1: explain why human being is characterized as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived. There are 8.4 million species of life, and out of that, human form of life is so valuable because we can get out of repeated birth and death cycle in human form of life. We have all the equipments to understand Krishna, like eyes, ear, hands, etc. But people misuse it and engage in sense gratification. These less intelligent people are characterized as lazy, unfortunate, and short-lived, as per the references are from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.10 and 1.16.9. The point number 1 is lazy. Human form of life is meant for self-realization. These people are very lazy in matter of self-realization. This is due to bad association and bad education system. They have no desire for self-realization. Point number 2, unfortunate. These people are less intelligent and unfortunate as they are wasting special gift of human form of life in sense gratification. Point number 3, short-lived. These people are short-lived due to their irregular habits, overeating, over sense gratification, artificial standards of living.
Overplaying video games?
Yeah. Their minds are always disturbed and full of anxieties due to so many different engagements. So now question number 2, explain how life of devotee is not lazy, unfortunate and short-lived. Devotee understands the goal of human form of life, that is to render devotional service for Guru and Krishna. Devotee is, point number 1, not lazy. Devotees are always active and engaged in devotional service. Point number 2, not unfortunate. Devotees are very fortunate as they know the goal of life and following the Guru and Krishna's instructions. Not short-lived. Point number 3. Devotees are very regulated in their lifestyle and habits, like only eating prasadam, always glorifying the Lord, always remembering the Lord, and always engaged in devotional service. This gives healthy and long life to devotees. The last question was, explain how one can suspend death.
Suspend means prolong it.
Put it on hold.
Or put death on hold.
Put death on hold. And how one can be liberated completely from death. The controller of death is Yamraja. He is a devotee of Krishna and doing his service very sincerely. As per Srimad Bhagavatam 1.16.7 explains about how to suspend the death or put the death on hold. The quote is from that verse, the only hope of suspending the cruel slaughtering process of Yamraj is to call him to hear and chant the holy name of the Lord. And he likes to be invited to kirtanas and sacrifices by the pure devotees who are constantly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. And as per Srimad Bhagavatam 1.16.8, one can be completely free from death by hearing the pastimes of Lord from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Very good. Okay, thank you. So today's subject, we learned how you can not be lazy and not be unfortunate and not be short-lived, and how to suspend death and how to be free of birth, death, old age, and disease. Today we're going to learn how to conquer Krishna. Krishna is called Ajita, unconquerable. But he has one vulnerability, and we're going to learn that today. So you, whether you're Krishna 1 or Krishna 2, whether you're Arush or Agastya or Advitya or Madhava or Samarth or whatever, you can actually conquer Krishna. Okay, you think you know. Not you think you know, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
How soul, pure love and devotion for Krishna can conquer Krishna.
Yeah, it's true. What did you say, Agastya? What?
I was gonna say the same
Same
thing.
thing, okay. But there is a verse that explains this more in depth. Huh? Okay. And it is in the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, which will be your homework. 10th canto, chapter 14, verse number 3. Write it down. 10:14:3. Jnane prayasam udapasyanamanta eva san jivanti sanmakaratam bhavadya vartam stane statak sutigatan tanaman manobir ye prayosu jita jito pi asitais trilokyam. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge, and with their body, words, and mind offer all respects to descriptions of your, meaning Krishna's personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you, meaning Krishna personally, and by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. So Krishna and Agastya, your idea of pure devotional service, that's true. But here, it's a specific type of pure devotional service. What is it? What is it saying in this verse? You just heard it. What is that specific type of devotional service? There are 9 types, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevinam, Archanam, Vandam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So what is the specific type of pure devotional services mentioned in this verse? Krishna. Is that your answer? Don't put your finger in your mouth. It doesn't help you answer the question. You forgot. That means you knew it. For a second, and then you forgot it. Okay. Anybody else want to answer this question? Agastya. Huh? Atma Nivedanam. What does that mean? Wrong. Next. Who wants to get it right? I just read the verse. Were you listening? You want me to read the verse again? All right. Oh, wait a minute. Samarth just raised his hand. Was that to scratch your ear or to answer the question? Answer the question. Okay, go ahead. Samarth has got it right. Haribol. What Shravana means, Samarth? It means Hearing what? Hearing Harry Potter? Hearing what? Samartha's got it 100% right. Let's give him a big hand. Very good. Okay, so let me read it again. Listen carefully, all right? Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions. What does that mean? Established social position. You know what that means, Prabhu? That means So what is an established social position? Give an example. Well, it could be unsuccessful also, but yes, it's successful. Yeah, so therefore you would be a Vaishya, right? Okay. So even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge. So can you give one example of speculative knowledge? Srivani. Wait, give her the microphone. We want to hear it. Hold it close to you.
If you say what if or I thing, that's speculation.
Yeah, so what does it mean exactly?
That means you're just like fine-tuning the real thing, or like you're just speculating. It's not,
Fine-tuning the real thing? And
no,
how
it's
would
not.
that be
Okay, no,
speculative?
not fine tuning. It's not the real. It's just your own philosophy. It's just your own version. You're not really like saying the actual fact
What is the actual fact? How do you get the actual fact?
by learning about it, and I don't know, like
You don't know?
no, like I don't know how to explain it. You have to serve Krishna.
Are you getting some actual facts now?
No,
No?
no. By serving Krishna, yes.
Well, there are 9 types of service. What is the service where you could get the actual facts?
Shravanam,
Yes, which means?
hearing.
Hearing what? Hearing
Krishna
what?
Katha.
Harry Potter?
No, Krishna Katha.
Okay. Is that what we're doing now?
Yes.
Okay. So speculation is you make something up. You don't know what the answer is. You just make it up. And you use fancy language so no one can understand your answer. And everyone thinks, oh, that answer must be right because I didn't understand one word. Yeah. Okay, so go ahead. So now, throw away the process of speculative knowledge. With their body, words, and mind, offer all respects to descriptions of your personality, meaning Krishna's personality and activities. How do you offer all respects to descriptions of Krishna's personality and activity? How do you do that? Anyone want to guess? Here it says, first way, you throw away the process of speculative knowledge. That means you throw Darwin in the garbage can, right? And you throw the Big Bang in the garbage can, right? Actually in the toilet. And then you go Haribo and you flush the toilet and it disappears. It's not there anymore, right? Okay, so then, but with your body, words, and mind, offer all respects to descriptions of Krishna's personality and activities. How do you offer respect to the descriptions of Krishna's personality? Yes, Justin. That's one, that's part of the answer. Okay, what does that mean? Let's get the microphone back here. Chanting? You're going to chant the lecture?
No, like chanting Hare Krishna, hearing Krishna's lectures, it's like respecting, and then chanting Hare Krishna.
What's equal to chanting Hare Krishna?
Equal to devotional service. No.
Equal to chanting Hare Krishna is repeating what you heard in the lecture.
Good.
That's also kirtan. Repeating bona fide spiritual knowledge is also kirtan. Okay? So the way you offer respect to the descriptions of Krishna's personality activities is by listening very carefully to what? To what Madhava tells you? No. To what?
To what, in this case, what you tell us.
Well, what the speaker is saying about Krishna, yes. So if you want to really respect and dedicate respect the descriptions of Krishna's personality and activities, you have to learn to listen effectively with undivided attention. If you learn this, you'll get also A pluses in your normal classes in school. They're not normal, abnormal classes, but you'll also be a top student because you learn how to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita spoken in the temple. Most kids don't know how to hear effectively. Would you agree? They don't know how to focus their mind and hear what's being said. I mean, sometimes I'll ask Krishna here a question, and I say, what did I just say? And what do you say? But that's not the answer, though. Yeah, but if you're like talking or looking somewhere like Ria, you're not paying attention, then you won't be able to answer my question. You have to have undivided attention during the class so that you absorb everything and you understand. If you don't understand, you should immediately raise your hands. I have a question. I didn't quite understand what you said. See, like, sometimes somebody's reading something and I stopped and I said, what did you say? Repeat that. Because I didn't understand what they said. I want to make sure I don't make a mistake in hearing. Okay, so then it says, with the body, words, and mind offer all respects to descriptions of Krishna's personality and activities, and dedicating one's life to these narrations. How do you dedicate your life to the narrations of Krishna's personality, a description of Krishna's personality and activity? Yes, Shastra. By constantly repeating them. Not just hearing, you're repeating. That's the way you dedicate your life. You dedicate your life to these narrations. Yes, Krishna, you wanted to say something? Every day, yes. Dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally, meaning Krishna personally, and by your pure devotees. Certainly, Krishna becomes conquered by the devotees who do this, although Krishna is unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. So you become a unique person. Yeah. Do you know anybody else, like in your school, that can conquer Krishna? No. Right? But now you learn the secret today. So what does this require? What's the number one thing you learn in class? Ria. You always get surprised when I call your name. What's the number one thing you should learn in this class? And? Yes, Samarth. Let's give him a hand. He's right on today, Samarth. Did you drink some milk this morning, or what? What is it? Yeah. Samarth is catching like everything. Thank you. Yeah, by learning to listen uninterruptedly and with full attention. And if you simply learn how to listen in class, you learn. And then you can do your homework. And if you have any questions while listening, you should ask them right away. Right? You can always stop the class and say, can you just repeat that? Or I didn't understand what you said. This is what Arjuna was doing with Krishna when he was hearing Krishna speak Bhagavad Gita. This is what Parikshit Maharaj was doing with Sukadeva Goswami when he was listening. Every time he didn't understand anything, he would ask a question. Okay, so now we'll read the purport, and then I'll give you your homework, and then you can have fun afterwards. Here the word udapasya clearly indicates that one should not even slightly endeavor to understand the absolute truth by the process of mental speculation. What does that mean, mental speculation? Krishna.
I think.
No, I stink.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. It means you don't know the answer, so you make something up. So, or you hear somebody else's phony opinion, And you think, oh, that made sense to me. You know, we all come from monkeys. Everything starts with a big bang. And the goal of life is sense gratification, yeah. So this, if you even, you should not even make a slight endeavor to understand the absolute truth by the process of mental speculation. So what does that mean? You should not even make a slight endeavor. Yes. Yeah, you should not even try to understand speculative theories because it leads to nowhere. Yeah. For it invariably carries one to an imperfect, impersonal understanding of God. The word jivanti indicates that a devotee who always hears about Lord Krishna will go back home, back to Godhead. Even if he can do nothing except maintain his existence and hear topics concerning the Lord. That means, even if you're hardly making a living, but you're regularly hearing the topics concerning the Lord, you'll go back to Godhead. Or, if you're making a good living, and you regularly hear the topics concerning the Lord, you'll go back to Godhead. Everything is focused on hearing and repeating. Hearing and repeating. Shravanam Kirtanam. If you hear and you repeat, then you'll be able to remember. Yes? Is that your question? Microphone. Okay, Advitya is not doing his job. Advitya, you're in charge of the microphone. You remember that? Whose job? Madhav's job. Okay. No, wait a minute. It was Advitya's job. So, go ahead.
In the Mahabharata, it says how... In the Mahabharata, it says how the Pandavas and Draupadi dies by falling off a cliff, and it says how like Draupadi falls first, and then Sahadev and Nakulan falls next. But then why does Arjuna fall like fourth? Like, isn't he supposed to not fall at all? And it says how Yudhishthira doesn't even fall, and he gets elevated to the he gets to go back to Godhead, but then Arjuna and everyone doesn't. And like, why does Yudhishthira not fall? Because at the end, Arjuna is the one who gets to hear the Bhagavad Gita through Krishna, right? So shouldn't Arjuna be the one going back to Godhead and not Yudhishthira?
Okay, this all depends on what translation of the Mahabharata you read.
I read the one where it's like, it's from Krishna Dharma or something like that. I just read the Mahabharata book.
Okay. If you want to know the real facts of Mahabharata, you have to read the explanations given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because when you hear a translation, you have to analyze carefully the life of the person who translated. And if it happens that they're not a pure devotee, there can be many mistakes. But Vyasadeva writes also analysis of many of the pastimes in the Mahabharata. He's the original author, but he analyzes them from the point of view of a pure devotee of Krishna. So that's what we should depend on. Now, to answer your question, Arjuna is a liberated soul. But his liberation is, he's always appearing with Krishna in the material world.
Yeah.
So, wherever Krishna is, that is the spiritual world.
Yeah.
So the fact that he doesn't go physically to Goloka Vrindavan doesn't mean he is less favored than anyone else. His liberation is he's always with Krishna whenever Krishna appears in the material world.
No, because the reason that it said in that book was that Arjuna promised that he would kill the Kauravas in one day, and Arjuna failed that promise, hence he fell off the cliff fourth. But then, no, I was just thinking like he got the opportunity to hear hear Bhagavad Gita through Krishna. So like why did that promise like affect his like ability to go back to Godhead? Like because first
there's a principle in the Vedic knowledge that's called phalena parichyate. It means you judge from the result. The result is, no matter what the circumstances were of Arjuna quitting his body, he is eternally liberated because he's always with Krishna.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're with Krishna in the material world or with Krishna in the spiritual world. If you're with Krishna, then you're a liberated soul. Okay? So you shouldn't get bent out of shape because he jumped fourth or whatever. You have to look at the final result. Phalena parichyate. Final result is Arjuna is an eternally liberated soul. It's always with Krishna. And if you want to really understand Mahabharata, you have to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's see what it says here in the first canto. 1 second. Okay, 785 and 786, first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's Prabhupada writes, it says in a purport, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord descended on earth for the protection of the faithful and annihilation of the impious. So after the battle of Kurukshetra and establishment of Maharaj Yudhisthira, the mission of the Lord was complete. The Pandavas, especially Sri Arjuna, were eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore Arjuna went to Dwarka to hear from the Lord of his next program of work. So Arjuna is an eternal companion. Not only him, but even the other Pandavas. So he's a liberated soul. So all these other little details, they're secondary. The first and most important detail is he's a liberated soul, and he was chosen by Krishna of all the people in the world, and there were many great people present in the time of Krishna. Vyasadeva was present. Narada Muni was present. Krishna chose Arjuna to reinvigorate the parampara system that had fallen into disarray at that time. He's a very special person.
So the Mahabharata that we're selling here,
Yeah.
is that not the real
Okay,
text?
now look. Those are reference books only. It's like a dictionary. Is dictionary Shastra?
No.
No. So they're just reference books. The books you have to depend on are Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Those are just reference books. And you have to also, if you really want to spend your time reading those books, you should first analyze who the translator is, because they're all translated books. If he's not a pure devotee, then there's going to be some mistakes.
So
See, there's a difference between hearing a story and hearing Shastra. In Shastra, there are no mistakes. In stories, there can be mistakes.
Okay.
When Prabhupada lectured, he didn't tell many stories. He told some, but very few. He was always speaking on Shastra. Right? Because there's no mistake. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there's no mistake. It's called Amala Purana. It's the perfect, spotless Purana. That's why it says, that's what we're studying now, this verse that we're studying today, 10th canto, 14th chapter, whatever verse it is.
Third verse.
13th verse. It's saying that if you want to conquer Krishna, then you dedicate yourself to hearing narrations of Krishna's personality and activities, and especially from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? It didn't say read so-and-so's translation of Mahabharata.
That's true.
Okay?
So is there other than
Prabhupada told us, he said, even if you go to some person, and even if one word is different than what is in the Shastra and what Prabhupada was teaching us, it'll cause havoc. One word. So that's how important it is to stick to bona fide scriptures.
so there isn't a real version of the Mahabharata available, right?
That's not the question. The real understanding of it is in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're not going to argue this one is real Mahabharata, that one is real Mahabharata. We have something much superior to the Mahabharata. It's called Srimad Bhagavatam with Srila Prabhupada's purports. And we have also Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So those are the two books you should focus on. All right, so let's finish this and then you have your homework. I'll give you your homework. Even if one does not do anything except maintain his or her existence and hear topics concerning the Lord, still they can go back to Godhead. That means even if you're poor, you're hardly even able to make a living, but you dedicate yourself to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, you can go back to Godhead. Srila Sanatana Goswami has explained the words Tanuvan Manobi, by the body, words, and mind, in three ways. In reference to devotees, through their body, words, and mind, they are able to conquer Lord Krishna. So with your body, your words, and your mind. So tell me how you can give respect to the narrations of Krishna with your body. Yes? Yeah, by using your body in Krishna consciousness. How about words? Yes. And how about mind? Arush? Absolutely. So you can use your body, your words, and your mind you can dedicate them to hearing the messages of Krishna. In reference to devotees, through their body, words, and mind, they are able to conquer Lord Krishna, thus becoming perfect in Krishna consciousness. They can touch his lotus feet with their hands, call him to come with their words, and attain his direct audience within their mind simply by thinking about him. Did you know you could do that, Krishna? Are you learning something new today? Okay. In the case of non-devotees, the words Tanuvan Manobi refers to the word ajita, or unconquered, and indicate that those not engaged in the loving service of Lord Krishna cannot conquer the absolute truth by their bodily strength, verbal expertise, or mental power. This is a major statement Prabhupada's making. That means there are a lot of people who can speak really well, who are really smart, and they have a lot of physical strength. They can't conquer Krishna, no matter how good they are. But a simple devotee who is sincere and using the body, the words, and the mind to pay respect to the narrations of Krishna, he or she can conquer Krishna. In reference to the word jita, conquered, the words tanuvan manobi indicate that the pure devotees of Lord Krishna conquer his body, words, and mind. Lord Krishna's body is conquered because he always remains by the side of his pure devotees. So Arjuna, has he conquered Krishna's body? Huh? No? You say yes or no? Yes? Why yes?
Because
No. Because Arjuna is... Yeah, and Krishna's by his side. By his side, constantly. Never separated from Arjuna. So that means Arjuna conquered Krishna with his body. Lord Krishna's words are conquered because he always chants the glories of his devotees. So he's always glorifying Arjuna and his devotees. And Lord Krishna's mind is conquered because he always thinks about his loving devotees. So you want to conquer Krishna with your words and with your body, your words, and your mind, then use them only in serving the Lord, remembering his narrations and so forth. And then he'll always be thinking of you, he'll always be by your side, and he'll always be helping you. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has explained the words Tanuvan Manobi in regard to the word Namantaha, offering obeisances. He explains that the devotees can take full advantage of the transcendental topics of the Lord by offering all respects to those topics with their body, words, and mind. One should engage his body by touching the ground with his hands and head while offering obeisances to the topics of the Lord. One should engage his words by praising transcendental literatures such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as the devotees who are preaching such literatures. And one should engage his mind by feeling great reverence and pleasure while hearing the transcendental topics of the Lord. In this way, a sincere devotee who has acquired even a small amount of transcendental knowledge about Lord Krishna can conquer him and thus go back home, back to Godhead for eternal life at the Lord's side. So, can any of your friends who play Fortnite conquer Krishna? What do you think, Madhava? How about if they just play regular video games? Can you conquer Krishna if you play video games? So how are you going to conquer Krishna? Yes. And repeating it also, right? And helping others understand it. Right? Okay, your homework for next week. Explain the words Tanuvan Manobi in all the different ways Prabhupada explains it in the purport to 10.14.3. TANU dash VAN dash MANO BHIH. Tanuvan Manobi. Explain the different ways Prabhupada explains Tanuvan Manobi in the purport to 10.14.3. And you get extra points if you do research in other parts of the Bhagavatam. 14.3. You get extra points if you do some research. Okay, Samarth. Samarth was the winner today. Okay, thank you very much. And Hare Krishna. Now you can go back to playing video games. And waste your life. I forgot to say that. And waste your life. You going to do your homework, Tusli? Okay. So, all the kids get extra credit if their parents also do homework. If you want your kids to get extra credit, you have to also do the homework. Not help your kid. You can help your kid, of course, but you have to do it personally also. Hare Krishna. Yes. Okay, very good. You come too. Okay, very good. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.